Some stories we do on our little corner are just so darn good that we have to come back and do them again and again and again. And it's not because we screwed them up the first few times, it's just that we want to add more chapters to the story. We have a passion for history here in the North Country, and specifically Plattsburgh and Clinton County. And that, I've been on the Atkins diet for a while, so I have to fulfill these cravings of mine in some other way, and that is studying history and learning what I can. So we've done a couple of chapters already with the Clinton County Historical Museum, which is here at Cumberland and Saleh Avenue, right, Kenneth?
Right.
And
3
Cumberland Avenue, and we're going to do a lot more. And I find myself, since I came here and talked to John, and since you hid for 2 weeks, I find myself promoting this museum, what it stands for, and telling people, go in, buy books, buy books. We need to do whatever we can to support this place. Ken Wray's been in the background until today when we got him trapped behind a little table here. And we've known each other for a long time. You worked at the hospital for a long time, didn't you, Kenneth?
Almost 30 years.
Oh, my goodness. What did you do there?
I worked in the radiology department. Yeah.
Well, wow, that's quite a career.
It was a long time.
We were looking at the maps last time we were here, and you were telling us that you were born where, Morris Forks area?
I was born actually in Woods Falls, but Morris Forks was my mother's residence. She was up visiting her mother who lived in Woods Falls by the Arch Bridge. The house is still there. It was a snowstorm. She told me real bad. She went into labor. The snow came so fast and furious. And I was born there without the service of Dr. Owen O'Neill at that time. He
No
came
midwife, no nothing.
A little later, her mother.
Her mother.
That was the 17th of April.
1784.
In 1928. I wish. No, not really. I don't want to do it again.
Oh, well, you're a young guy, and your thoughts and your moods.
Well,
were you always interested in history as a kid, or is this something that developed?
No. It developed over a period of time. I retired from the hospital, worked privately for a while, and then I decided I would go to the museum to see if I could help out.
Boy.
And I'm going, this is my 11th year associated with Clinton County Historical Association.
Where are all those other people that should be doing this same thing? There should be a staff of thousands
we've had
here.
A lot, but they've dwindled away.
Yeah.
And I have people say, well, I'll come down and help you, because a lot of times we have more work than I can handle alone. Mailings, sometimes 1,000 pieces of mail if you're doing memberships, and it's a lot of work.
We've said it before, but I want to underline it every time we turn the camera on. This museum is in trouble financially.
Yes, it is.
It needs help. I don't know where the help is going to come from. I can make my mouth go for a lot of causes, but I don't have any magic wands or crystal balls. But I do know that something's got to happen to help this museum so that it can make that move that John talked about out to the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. I know you have a lot of dreams.
Oh, my. We went out there and looked at one of the buildings that they feel that we should have. I have visions of having just one huge room as a portrait gallery for our paintings. You could spend hours looking at them. Our quilts that people have given over the years that are rolled up that no one's seen in probably 15, 20 years because we don't have the space or the wall space. This building is much, much too small. Everything is in storage. 3 small galleries. So in a sense of the way, with the Automobile Museum nearby, we nearby, and BOPA, we certainly could have a great campus. Busloads of tourists could come in, plenty of parking space for buses.
I was reading one of the area's business magazines, and Gary Douglas from the Chamber is always a positive, upbeat, intelligent guy. He's done a great deal more for the business climate. Right. And he was talking in the latest issue about how the Canadian dollar is getting to be worth more money and how we'll have more Canadian visitors coming back. And you and I remember the glory days
Exactly.
when we were beating them off with sticks at the municipal beach, and I mean that with affection, because it was great to have them down here. It boosted
Sure.
the whole economy. But I also know that over the years we haven't done enough to promote tourism for historical reasons, for the study of history, and we've almost belabored that and beat that. It's not a dead horse, but we beat it into the ground for years and years about how we have to tell people from outside this area about the Battle of Plattsburgh, because now we're getting enthusiastic about the Battle of Plattsburgh, the Battle of Valcour, and all the other things that have happened here, but tell people in Oshkosh about that and they look at you funny.
Hmm.
And you know, places, people who don't study the War of 1812 have no idea how significant that battle was here.
I feel that I don't think enough is taught in school about the history of Plattsburgh because I never was taught it.
No, we won't. There was a terrible gap when we were young kids.
And I still think that gap is there. Even though when we were at 48 Court Street, we used to get a lot of school groups, and the calendar in back of me would be full. Now, we never get a call to ask if they can bring a group through.
That's sad.
Yes, it is.
Because I know a lot of specific teachers who have taken it upon themselves to add this, either formally or informally, to their curriculum. But I think it should be in every school, starting very young. You have to engender this enthusiasm in young kids, right?
And once again, it's like if we could get some volunteers that wouldn't mind going out speaking to the schools. We did have one person that did that for a long, long time, Susie Cutterly. And you must know Susie and Larry. Well, they're great friends of mine and Ralph's too. Ralph works over at Automobile Museum.
Yeah.
But he was with us for a long time.
And Susie was the educator at
Susie was the educator. And also at 48 Court Street.
Yeah.
She had a little satchel with various artifacts, and she would go out at the schools, and we would get call after call, scheduling school groups.
She's not even a native of this area.
No.
That's the part of it.
But she loved the history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you and I and Calvin are pretty much natives of the area. John's a transplant, and he loves it here.
Exactly.
And you, we talked to you one time a while back at one of the business expos. Was it at a business expo when you had photographs?
At the Crete Center, the Seniorama.
Seniorama, when you had photographs.
In May, yes.
And you said, we got to see those photographs. Calvin and I have done many, many programs with using old photographs, with historical societies, with historians, and with our great friend, the late Ron Venn, his before and after photographs. People love pictures. So you know what? Ken Wray and me and Calvin, we're going to sit around for the next hour, an hour and a half, and look at old pictures, and we're going to have a ball. Stay with us. Yeah, I think we ought to mention Ralph Rusano, too, because he was here with you a while, and you guys were...
We worked together for 10 years here at this museum.
And you put these books together.
Yes, we did.
And you know me with pictures, and you showed them to me and to Calvin, and our eyes got as big as saucers. I said, oh, we got to do a show on those pictures.
About 4 years ago, we compiled all of these books. I think we worked maybe about 3 months sorting and picking out and placing them in the albums. And then we took them to the Crete Center and set up a table. And our guests that came to the Crete Center were fascinated with them, and they were looking at them for hours on end.
Now, where do these pictures come from in the first place?
These pictures came from the Liquors Board in Albany. They were going to throw them out.
Oh, come on!
And when Jane Roop was the director of the museum, she got a call and said, what would you like to do with them? She said, send them to us. So we got this humongous box and knew we were going to do something with them, so we put them together, and this is where they've remained since we got them.
This is what a historical museum does ideally, but it needs space to display things. As we mentioned in an earlier program, even the Smithsonian doesn't have enough space to display everything they want to, so they have rotating displays. If we were to rotate all the stuff that this museum has in this less than 1,000 square feet, we'd be here till the end of time just trying to put things on display.
Right.
Our viewers who saw Chapter 2, and I hope all of you did, saw some of the various rooms. Ken mentioned paintings. We went into one room where the paintings were just, row upon row upon row of paintings that should be out and on walls and tastefully displayed for the people to enjoy. We went into another room with textiles, all boxes and boxes and boxes, and the rolls of quilts.
Yeah, and they're all rolled a particular way.
Yeah,
with acid-free paper between each. As we rolled them with acid-free paper, so the material is not touching each other.
Hopefully before we're through, other people will say, well, why don't we go down and offer our time? We could spend a few hours a week.
Oh, exactly.
Helping?
Helping, inventorying things again. You mentioned the paintings. We spent weeks and months before we moved repairing all of the frames and touching them up with gold gilt.
Did you really?
We just would tear them apart and redo them and tighten up the canvases. I've learned a lot in my 10 years about preserving artifacts.
It has nothing to do with that fabulous salary you make for working here.
But it's a lot of fun, and I really prefer to be more busy in a sense of the way because I'm a people person.
Yeah.
For years I worked with like 4 generations of families. And right now we don't get the traffic that we should have.
Really? We need to create some kind of a groundswell of support as we get through this winter season and get into summer, and so that by the time it's ready to commemorate the Battle of Plattsburgh once again, as we work toward toward the year 2014, that we got the support we need.
Well, over the years we would close on 48 Court Street because we needed that time to put up some new exhibits and change the gallery's looks, and now we don't need to close. We're staying open. Hopefully someone will saunter by and come in.
Well, I'm sure we haven't received $40 million in checks since we did our first program, but I hope they begin to trickle in, and even the little people can help us a bit. We're going to show some of these pictures. Each one of these Calvin is going to focus on. Let us know when he captures it, and any of the ones you want to comment on, just tell us about them.
It would be the outside of the building, and then usually a picture of the dining room. Most of these places were restaurants in the area, perhaps bars, but places of historical value.
Clayburgh summer camps and groups of campers and instructors, early baseball teams, boys and girls. Boy, you covered.
That would be to the back of the book.
Okay, well, you've done pretty well. All right, what are we looking at here now?
That would be a hotel up
in Redford.
In Redford, yes.
Well,
I believe that building is still there. I don't know if it's a bar or not, but
it's fun to go back and look at the old buildings. I do that because, as you know, I write ghost stories, and I love to see what the buildings look like.
Read the names on the building.
Okay, yeah, Redford Hotel, rooms, meals, beer on draft. I'll be right over.
That first one was Coffees, was it? The first one?
It was the
Coffees, restaurant, beer, and meals. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, let's get some more. Are you doing one at a time there, Calvin, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're looking at the top one now, right?
That is correct.
That is correct. And, boy, it's the Clayburgh Inn, right?
Right.
That's what it says. Clayburgh Inn. I have no idea when these pictures were taken. Are some of them dated in your mind?
Some are dated on the back.
Oh, boy.
And some aren't.
It's amazing just to look at them. We're not going to take them all out because we have so many to go through.
Oh
but
yeah, there's
I'm
hundreds.
sure that are many people who are viewing this program who will say, "Wait a minute, I worked there.
Right,
I
yeah.
lived right across the road from that place when we were
Right.
growing up." And that's the beauty of showing great old pictures, right?
I've met people at the Seniorama would ask if I could just duplicate it by putting it on the Xerox, which I did, just because their parents had owned that particular business.
Isn't that great? H. Wolf General Mercantile, strictly cash.
I think that was Saranac.
And the best of it, first of all, oh my goodness.
I have no idea, but they caught somebody going in a little
Some-
apartment or
somebody
whatever in
going
the back of the
back
building.
door. I would have missed that if you hadn't said it. A man with a cane.
Well, I have a magnifying glass, and I usually go over every picture with a magnifying glass.
It's wonderful for me
and I look
because,
for unusual.
because we're talking about Guy's Ice Cream. Somebody sent me an email asking me about Guy's Ice Cream. And I love the brand names. Utica Club, Moxie. They still make
Right.
Moxie, believe it or not, but Moxie was very popular when I was a kid. And Beech Nut Chewing Tobacco. Ice cold beer, ice cold, 15 cents. Strictly cash, and then Camel cigarettes ad on the side of the building.
Right.
I'm not sure I remember that building myself, but that's kind of cool. And this is Eli Russet merchandise on the top of this photograph, but this is all up in that area.
Many of
somewhere,
them
huh?
were stores, that sold probably beer, so they needed a license, and therefore they had to have the
But
photos.
what a treasure
But they're
trove
great
of
photos.
photographs, and all taken very well by people who work for the liquor authority. You said,
Right.
because they maybe they had to have
For the license.
for their license, right? There's something for sale on that window, 2 for 35 cents. Oh my goodness! You can take a photograph and look at it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
come
I
back
do.
2 weeks later and see new things in it.
Something else. Right.
Oh,
I have 2 boxes right there of the city of Plattsburgh that I've been going through because during the holidays we had people come in and wanted reproductions that they could give as Christmas presents. So I would choose and then call them up and ask them if they liked it, and they would love the picture. So I would take it out, have it reproduced, and of course it's a means of the museum making money, because then we could we get charged for making them, but then we can add a little bit for our trouble, and it's another
that's very interesting.
bit of
What a-
money, and it's my way of trying to help too, to keep our museum.
Wow. And there are a lot of photographs in this building that aren't displayed in these books,
Oh,
right?
many. There's
There's a
probably
pained expression on his face.
500 in those 2 boxes. We
Oh,
have
behind Calvin?
huge boxes.
Oh
in,
my goodness. All right, take a look at this picture. My wife says when I bring drawings home, and I love to do line drawings all day long when I'm talking with people, I'm just drawing. And she'll look at it and she'll say, "That's the busiest picture you've ever done. Take a look at this photograph and tell me how busy it is." And then look around. I mean, this is,
Oh, yeah.
talk about absolute pure 100% nostalgia for me. The old gas pumps, number 1. Number 2, motor oil in glass jars with
Exactly,
the metal
yeah.
top on it. The ubiquitous Coca-Cola. And
a watering can if you need a little water for your radiator.
For your radiator, and kerosene pumps, and free crankcase service. I bet you'll never see a sign like that ever again as long as you live. Goodrich Silvertowns. And this is Vilas de Fayette. That's like a lot of the great North Country names. They can be spelled
Right,
about
yeah.
15 different ways.
True.
Oh my goodness. This is great. I'm excited already. We're only on page 4. And here's another one. I don't know if it's a business or a private home. I don't see a name on that one. Oh yes, it says restaurant. Wait a minute. Now here's another phrase. How long has it been since you saw a sign that said tap room?
Long.
Think about that. Tap room.
See, mostly these were private homes, and just decided to to have a business. I have no idea where that one was
Oh, and
from.
there's an old truck in the
Might have been
background.
something on the back of it. I don't know how they got into the picture.
You don't know how the priest got into it, huh?
No.
What were you going to say, Calvin?
Well,
Bypass.
this time when you go to the senior celebration, have a little pad next to everyone and have people tell you.
Exactly. That's a good idea.
You know,
That's
get
a
the
great
history
idea.
from the people, and then you can really.
'Cause verbally, they've done that, but we've never recorded
Yeah,
it, and
right.
that would be a great thing to do.
Because most of these pictures were taken, what era would you say?
I think in the 40s,
I would say
40s, 50s. Mm-hmm.
probably 40s. Let's look at the bottom one here, and we don't have the names of these priests, but maybe they.
Probably on the back.
Yeah, well,
But to pull each one would
No,
take
well,
a
let's just let
tremendous amount
people-
of time.
What was the liquor board taking their picture for?
No, though that probably just was around,
they
and
have
we
guns under
decided,
their cassocks. They had to go. No, I'm just kidding.
or they might have been from the area that we put the book together.
Yeah, who knows? There's a flag banner over the top.
Hmm. A celebration of some kind.
Rather stern-looking group, aren't they?
Very.
Oh boy. Oh boy. This is before the 40s. I can
That, yeah.
promise you that. Take a look at this fantastic photograph.
Mhm.
I wonder where that school is. I bet you don't know offhand, do you?
Not offhand, but
And it's so great. All those little kids. I don't know if any of those little kids might be still alive. But that's got to be a school. It's probably a Catholic school, huh?
I would think so. Yeah.
Judging by the
Hmm.
and look at the collars and the beards and the chains and the knickers and this little girl's all dressed up and she'd rather be anywhere in the world. They're hanging out of the windows. And somebody's going to be watching this saying, how come they don't know that's so and so? Well, because we know. And here's a
5610340, right?
5610340. That's right.
you got it. Okay, and here's
That would
the
be
great out of door somewhere up there.
Summer camp somewhere, probably up in that general area.
People have been going to summer camps for generations. That we don't know if it was a school camp
Many
or
great camps were in our area.
oh, that's true. The great camps were. That almost looks like a hose going across behind the tree there. It's hard to tell
Hmm.
who
Yeah,
these people
might well
are.
be. That would be one of the main buildings, probably.
Yeah, and you'd have to guess that was probably 1930s or before.
Mhm.
Oh, I love it. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I think that
beautiful
it was
scenes.
up around Shazy Lake. Yeah.
Great scenes, outdoor scenes. We live, as we've said 1,000 times before, in one of the most picturesque places on the earth.
Right. I have some negatives behind Calvin in that top drawer that would fascinate you if you saw them. And I was thinking maybe we could have some made up into the pictures. They're of Bouillet's Baking Company, and some are from the inside where they're making the bread.
Come on, get it done.
And, well, it's money. You know, we just don't have it to reproduce
know,
them. But we have the negatives, and they're great pictures.
Isn't that marvelous? What?
Mhm. And they're probably this long.
Oh,
Like, huge.
oh.
Hmm.
Okay, here's a ball team. There's a motley crew from
Plus, you got the year 1921.
1921, so that'll help. There are relatives of some of these people watching this program
It's
that'll
true.
call up and say, I can identify the first three. Chances are there might be some names on the back anyway,
I think there is.
but
Yeah.
isn't that great?
Most of these, we allow people to come in and sit down and go through them. You know, I set up a table and they
they're-
could
and
spend
they're protected
hours.
in plastic, and that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Lawrenceville. No kidding. 1920 Lawrenceville. Some of our viewers know where Lawrenceville is. That's the bottom one, the top one. I'm sorry. I'm looking at these pictures for the very first time, and it's just wonderful because this is 85 years ago or more.
Right,
And that's what makes it even more delicious.
right.
And even if only one person says, yeah, that's my
Well,
grandfather,
if
that's my
any-
Uncle Charlie.
If anyone from the public wants to come in, I'll set up a table for them and draw the books out for them, and they could spend hours going through them.
And because those were maybe the kids in camp, and there's a ball team associated with that from Lawrenceville, because this looks like tents in the background, you know? And the baseball spikes, boy, how well I know. They're reminiscent of the exact spikes that I had when I was a young person, and you have to save all your money to get it. So you don't know quite where these
No.
locations are offhand. But just to know that you have this resource available at the Clinton County Historical Museum. For those of you who are watching our program who just turned the TV on, shame on you. Check out the times for our show and get to watch it at regular times. And the best part of it is most of these shows are repeated several times. We're talking with Ken Wray at the Clinton County Historical Museum. And this is not a false enthusiasm that we have for history and for these photographs, because photographs of people bring the history right to you, don't they?
They sure do.
Especially for people who might have some contact with these folks, and that's like why we love to interview senior citizens who remember these days.
I spend hours. I find unidentified photos in there, and I identify them because I'm old enough to know the building.
Come on!
I found my father's garage in Moore's Forks before it was his garage.
You
The
did?
building, yes.
Just going through the photograph?
And it said unidentified, and I said, "Oh my God, we used to live
Not
upstairs
isn't.
over the garage." Yeah.
Oh my wonderful! This is so nostalgic for me, because you see kids hanging around here.
Just
And
recently, we had a lady that was visiting here from England. Her great uncle was a judge in Port Kent. I found a negative of their home in that top drawer.
Wow.
And I recognized it from the research that I had done, and I brought it to her, and she was in talking with John. She was like, "Oh my God, yes."
isn't that?
And the building is still there in Port Kent. It's a building that you wouldn't forget because it has the round circular windows.
Yeah.
As you see, you've probably seen it many times. That building was Judge Wilson's. Now, and I had gone through that draw just recently, and I knew the history behind it.
History has many voices, and it's really nice when you can bring it back by recognizing something. Oh boy, do these look familiar. An indoor dining room in one of the camps, and they were all built the same way. The summer camp that I went to at Camp Aldersgate at Lake Branningham, up near Lowville, built exactly that same way with a big fireplace.
I think those were up around Shazy Lake and that way.
Oh, it's just marvelous.
That would be probably some of the counselors and instructors, maybe.
Yeah, some of them dressed formally and some of them informally with sweaters. But these are pretty old. These are older than the 40s, I think. Don't you? I think these are probably in the teens, maybe.
These that have the people.
Oh my goodness. More groups of people. We're going to show every picture, even though we may not say exactly what it is or where it is. We're going to show the pictures just because these pictures will have meaning for certain people who are watching. Isn't this cool? It's not Charlie Chaplin, but
No.
it could be.
Could be.
Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that uniform. So you know that's First World War era, right? Isn't that terrific? Taken right around that same time period. Am I going the right way in the book here?
Mm-hmm.
Did I start on that end? Yeah, I did. Okay. Just want to make sure I don't go backwards. You can almost hear the birds chirping in the background and kids saying, "This water's cold. You told me we had hot water in this camp. These eggs are burned."
Plattsburgh Majors, 1935.
Oh, there you go. There is nobody that's been around here for 50 years.
P on the sweater must be for Plattsburgh.
Plattsburgh. And those people who played baseball in this area for a long time or studied the history of this area are very familiar with the Plattsburgh Majors. A ball team to reckon with for a long, long period of time. And that picture was taken 2 years before I was born, 1935. That's just great, great spots. Here's some more.
Peru, isn't it? I believe.
Peru?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, the Peru. Okay.
Peru girls
But
basketball.
then it says PHS on the bottom.
Does it?
And so
Yeah,
would that
I wonder
mean-
why they would write Peru.
Are you looking at both of them,
Yes.
Calvin? Yeah.
Well, Peru
Yeah.
High School.
Peru High School.
Could be Peru
Yeah,
High School PHS, but never have I ever heard PHS referred to anything except Plattsburgh High School.
Right.
Or the late Sid Spiegel, when he was on the radio, much to the consternation of other teams that might be playing here, would say, and it's the High School 31, and because the high school was, to him, was Plattsburgh High School.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that says PHS 1933-34, but then it says Peru, so that's probably what it is. And the interesting part of it is some of these people would still be around.
I
it's
would
saying.
say. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Hilda.
That's Peru.
Well, that's Peru, and that says PHS. So there's your answer.
That's all the
And
shirts
it's
on
all
the
the
bottom.
shirts say Peru, and it says HPS 2324.
Now some of those people could be
I love it.
around.
I love it. I just went somewhere to a restaurant last night with my wife, and I walked in and greeted my friends, and the gal had her mother with her celebrating her 92nd birthday yesterday, and she was charming and wonderful, and I embarrassed my wife and everybody in the restaurant by singing happy birthday as loud as I could because I just don't care.
Right.
Oh, that's great. So that's, once again, Peru. That was known as PHS. I learned something today. So all these are,
Peru.
well, there's one that says Plattsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the Majors, but that's a very, very old picture. Those caps go way back
Way
to
back.
the early days. So you got some delightful photographs here. We're at the Clinton County Historical Museum at 3 Cumberland Avenue with Kenneth Wray, whom we've known for a long time, and he's tantalized us with these photographs and promised to bring them into the foreground, and that's what we're starting to do today. We've already announced that we'll be back for future viewing. Oh my goodness. Just absolutely great, great photographs. We have done a few shows on baseball in this area. But never, I don't think, even in Lion Mountain. Did you have a lot of photographs when you went to Lion Mountain, Calvin? Did the show on baseball in Lion Mountain? Or I know you talked to some of the old ball players, right?
Yeah, we didn't, for that particular show, we didn't have a lot of,
Not too many photographs.
but, there are a couple of individuals who are doing books, and they will have a lot of photographs in their books.
We just did a television show fairly recently with a friend of ours whose name is Larry Lawrence Gooley.
Oh, yes. They just
Who in the
did a
night-
new book.
A new book. And, you know, it was 20-some years in the making because he interviewed these people way back in the early 80s. Only one of them is still alive.
Oh, my. We,
One of them was Plink Terra Savage, and I told his son and daughter-in-law about the book, and they ran right out and bought it.
we sell one of his other books, Altona Flat Rock.
Oh, yes. Well, he's a diligent person. There's a lot of people doing this research and stuff in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these people have never written books before, but they feel like you and I do, that this has to be preserved somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going through that Lion Mountain book for about the 15th time the other day, reading some of the comments from these old timers, and what a stalwart
Oh, sure.
group that was, those miners who worked there. A time period that'll never come back. And this is Plattsburgh AA Athletic Association, would you guess?
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Could be. They look like they might have a little drink every once in a while.
1900s.
Yeah, early
With the
1900s.
cap, you can tell.
And you know what I love? The quilted. If you
Mhm.
look at the quilted pants they had, isn't that amazing? Oh, I don't know what that says. Oh, Sable Forks.
Mm-hmm.
I see a shirt. I think I've been able to fill in the blanks, and
Right.
I think that says
You-
Sable Forks on that one. Tremendously fast. This is not a bona fide slideshow because I'm holding some pictures up longer than others. But they could all be committed to CD at some point in time. There's so many things that can be done if you have the
Right.
resources to do it.
Well, now when we reproduce them, we get a CD with them, with
Isn't
the
that neat?
photograph.
That is so neat. Oh, wait a minute. Doesn't some of these these buildings look familiar to me? And I'm not very good at identifying where that might be unless that's right here in Plattsburgh, but you don't think so. You think it might be somewhere else? Because it says on the outside Clayburg Summer Camp, so some of those camps are up in the
Mm-hmm.
Redford
yeah.
Clayburg area, along with some of the buildings. There's just such a huge collection of photographs. How many photographs did you get from that liquor board? Do you know?
Oh,
All told?
probably 400.
Oh my goodness! And they're all,
Mhm.
these are all well taken, posed photographs. Some of these are pretty fancy uniforms. This top group, nice, very nice, classy looking uniforms. And I'm sure there are some senior citizens who are watching this,
Mhm.
or younger people who have an interest in it, who are saying, "Look at this stuff, man," because a lot of these go back almost 100 years.
Right.
Isn't that
And they're
wonderful?
displayed so anyone can look at them.
Oh,
we don't
my
have to wear
goodness.
special gloves or anything.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. Two more. So you guys just sat cross-legged on the floor and started going through these photographs, saying, "How are we going to do this?"
We had them
How we-
spread out on tables and tried
you
to
really?
catalog them.
Try to coordinate it and get it together and figure what to do with them all and how to get them together. But
It took quite a while.
when you think about it, it's almost a never-ending task, isn't it? Because you display them this way, there are other ways to identify them. Oh, look at some of the gloves. Aren't they
Yeah.
amazing and wonderful? Catcher's mitts haven't changed that much.
Yeah.
Still got my left-handed catcher's mitt from Legion Baseball.
You're left-handed.
Yeah, left-handed. Left-handed catchers are few and far between. My viewers know that I hit a lot of batters trying to throw to second base. Right-handed batters. But my brother saved that glove somehow and sent it to me one time about 20 years ago, so I do have my catcher's mitt. I saved up money one summer, I don't know how much, maybe $12, $13, and sent away from Sears.
Did you figure out what the writing is on the shirts on the top?
Well, it's HSP, and that was, I saw combinations of HSP and PHS on the Peru ball teams from way back when. So maybe that is high school Peru.
Mm-hmm.
That's pure speculation.
Because, see, he has only
He-
PS.
PAS, and I don't know if there's an H behind his
Oh.
collar or not. So I really can't tell you. And the writing on the top of the picture is backwards, but it looks like it's 20-something, 1920-something.
Maybe the picture is backwards.
Oh, no.
When it was printed.
When it was printed, yeah, backwards.
So that HSP might be VHS.
I have
This
no-
has something on it, but
It looks like Waltham.
mm-hmm.
It looks like Waltham, but there's more P and PHS, and we don't know
where the building
where
is.
the building is or was.
That's the same building in both
Yeah.
prints.
Hopefully, I don't get my fingers too far into the picture so that people can look at them. And yeah, this will be an almost never-ending project because people will be calling you.
Oh, we
And
have
you'll
a
say, "Oh
lot.
no, which picture were they talking about?"
We have a lot of photographs. Actually, we have glass slides, probably 5,000.
Oh, you told me you have the glass slides. There are several collections of glass slides that were done in this area that were fabulous.
And they were given to us, and now we are the keepers. And they're all cataloged.
They are all cataloged now?
Mm-hmm. I had a call just the other day, which I have to do some research on the Strand Theater, and I found several boxes with an S on them, so that's where I'll start looking.
Well, now the Strand Theater is going to have a whole new life, isn't it? Huh?
Right, and if we can help them, we will.
I think that's wonderful that the two organizations will now be combined and with a common goal, and that's wonderful. They've both been separate entities for some time now, and I admire both groups for what they've accomplished to preserve the appreciation of culture and arts in the North Country, and that's what it takes, and that's what we're doing right here today. Wow, the hairdos.
I know.
The hairdos, Kenneth. Isn't it beautiful? All right, there's PHS 1913 and 14. There's 1912 and 13. And somebody with an N on a shirt. I have no idea what the N stands for in the middle of it all. If it were an M, it could mean manager. If it was a C, it could be coach. And once again, other people will be watching this saying, "Gordy, don't you know that stands for..." I love it.
Well, if we had more volunteers, see, we could take a lot of these and ID them.
Oh, now we're into football. And take a look. That could be rugby. That's almost like a rugby ball. Calvin, take a look at that and tell me. Footballs weren't that fat, were they? Doesn't it almost looks like a rugby ball, doesn't it?
Yeah, it could have been a football.
It could have been a football. I think those guys look like they're ready for a scrum, though, don't you? There's a sport. There's a sport, rugby. Wow. All right. And strange uniforms. What? This guy's got...
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is
I
around
wondered
his
what
neck.
that was, too. I used magnifying glass. I could not identify that.
The guy in the bottom and the left.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? With little holes like it might be some kind of a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, plastic hadn't even been invented yet, so we don't know what it might have been made of. I don't know. Wait a minute, is that the same guy? No, it's another guy. This next picture, we got the same thing on another guy. All right, now we have to solve the mystery. We need somebody to call Ken Wray at the Clinton County Historical Museum and tell him what the heck that thing is.
Hanging on his neck.
Hanging on his neck. There's a different guy.
There's two of them that have it.
Two of them? Not a clue.
Whistle.
No, I'm not going to repeat that on camera. Calvin stopped the camera to make a comment as to what he thought that was. Oh.
I don't have the bottom picture.
You don't have the bottom picture, but there are several of them with them around their hand. It's not so, doesn't look like it would go around their nose and face.
It almost looks too large to be a
several
guard
of them.
for your
There's
team.
1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I bet you that guy with the derby on the top could tell us, but now look at the bottom picture. But who knows? Who knows? Somebody will know, and yes, the next time we come to this museum, we'll
Have an answer,
We'll come
maybe.
in backwards and sheepishly and saying, well, we know. This one guy, so many chains on him. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Watch pocket.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a rugby team.
That's a tough-looking team.
Oh, what a motley crew.
Looks like he's ready to charge.
Isn't that amazing? Just to look at the faces on these guys and to see how athletic equipment has changed over the years. Just since my junior varsity football days and the old baseball days, equipment has changed tremendously. Oh boy. Great stuff. But we're talking pretty old these are pretty old photographs.
Mhm.
Most of these that we're looking at now. 97?
1897.
Wow. We're talking about the turn of a century there. We're talking, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
100 and
Somebody's
108
grandfather,
years.
great-grandfather. Yeah.
108 years ago.
Mhm.
That's so neat. We still got those quilted pants on back in those days with the high laced boots, and they all parted their hair. Most of them parted their hair in the middle. And yeah, see, those. Did you get the bottom picture? Yeah, that's PHS again, I think, on their shirts, or HPS, or whatever it is.
Wrestling, maybe, or running. The shoes had cleats on them, I think.
Yeah, these look like actual spikes.
VHS.
So one of them is the bottom one's a basketball team, but this one is this one, I guess.
Turn the, get glare.
Oh, this way.
Yeah.
That better?
Like a Fruit of the Loom commercial.
Doesn't it though, huh?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I think maybe they were runners.
That could be right. And the other ones we don't know. That's basketball. That looks like a basketball.
Yeah, it's basketball.
Needless to say, in the early days of basketball, they didn't even have a backboard. I don't know if that would have been true. That's 1819. That picture.
1819.
No, 1918. I meant 1918 and 19, but 1819. Oh boy.
Stadium.
This could have been Lion Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been Lion Mountain, even though
What
it
does
says
it say?
Plattsburgh. It could be.
Yeah.
It says Plattsburgh, so it could have been right here. Could have been Bailey Avenue.
Yeah.
Very well. Are you looking at the other one now?
Yeah. They won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, bowling.
That's bowling.
A bowling tournament.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, look at how somber they are.
Yes.
You know, no.
Because the photographer is saying, will you guys sit still for a minute? I got to take a time exposure. One guy's almost making a fist like he's ready to... Oh my gosh. This, I don't know if that's the same bowling crew or not, but it's very similar, that top one.
We have no idea who this is.
Just take a look. Isn't she the
Beautiful.
most charming, beautiful young woman?
We never could find out where that came from and who it is.
Well, there's a need now to find out who that person is.
And it looks like it might be the 1900s.
It's almost a cherubic face, isn't
Look
it,
at
huh?
that, yeah.
Just a beautiful young face of a girl who, no idea how old she might be. 14, 12, taken somewhere, maybe up in that neck of the woods, huh?
Generally,
Well,
yeah,
there
that's
she is.
another shot
Another
of her.
shot on her.
But she is a beautiful girl.
And isn't it funny that that would be in that collection of pictures unless it's somebody's daughter or...
Could be.
Not a clue. That's... I can't wait to see the rest of the books. That first book is so interesting, so wonderful. And somebody will be able to identify that area and say, yeah, I went to camp there when I was a little kid. What's the next one, Kenneth?
Altona, Port Kent, old cars.
Okay, I'm ready for this one, baby.
What is this? Miner's Home, Chazy, that general area.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? This is a real piece of history. You showed me these photographs down at the Crate Center of Lazat's funeral home up in Altona. And a bunch of great old vehicles in that top one. That gives you an idea that
He was also selling cars at that time.
selling cars, funeral
And
homes.
embalming people.
And embalming people. People had combination furniture stores and funeral homes, and it was so fascinating. But it's a huge part of the Altona history, isn't it? Huh?
Oh, yes, it
And
is.
the name persists.
Yeah, I
today.
think Brown owns that
Yes.
today.
The
Yeah.
name Lazat Brown Funeral Home.
And
This
his
is the first
too.
hearse. Calvin was going to look at the license plate to tell me if that was really 1930. I don't know if he could see it, but my trifocals told me that it was 1930, and I was guessing the vehicle is maybe vintage 1928. So we'll see if any of our automotive experts out there, like Tony Vaccaro or somebody, will
Right,
say,
if
"Yeah, I
it's-
know what that is."
If it's 1928, then I know how old it is.
Aha!
Same age as I am.
But it looks like 1930 on the license plate. Neat stuff, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Hard to tell, huh? But it looks like 1930 or very close, and that was their first hearse with a wooden spoke wheels and somebody with a little Boston Terrier, Boston Bulldog as we
Right.
used to call it.
Oh, this is one of his burials. Lizat's.
Yeah.
That's the Altona High School, which is now a prison.
Oh, gosh, look at this. First of all, the top picture, R.I.P.,
Rest in peace.
rest in peace.
For posterity. I have no idea whose funeral that is, but it's amazing that a picture was taken.
Once again, it's part of the history, and some of those
It's
people... Some of those people might be still around. Calvin's giving it that quizzical overview.
Like a flag on the side.
Yeah,
School.
and the school is now the Altona Correctional
Correctional,
Facility,
right.
and they've got a few relatives and friends who've worked there, known a few people who went to school there, and looking at some of the old cars from the 1930s. And a bunch of bicycles, just like there might be
Right.
outside of a school today, huh?
You
Right.
see Bob Garrow walking in the front door.
Can you really? And you might be right. Oh boy,
That's
First-
another view of it. That's
another
a
view of the school.
train wreck, I believe, in Altona. Happened many years ago, I'm not sure, in the 30s or 40s.
So once again, somebody might know. There are a lot of aficionados of railroads up here. We've done several programs on the history of railroads here because so much of the North Country's progress over the years is based on the advent of railroads. That's Canadian Pacific. Boy, it looks like it hit a building, doesn't it, almost?
I believe that's when it jackknifed off the track
Yeah,
through them.
very, very interesting. Oh, we got more?
More of
Oh,
it.
yeah, we got more. We got more pictures of the train wreck. You know, we're talking 70, 80 years ago, maybe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are people, once again, watching this who know about it, and perhaps some who were even there at the time as small children. That's an event at any time in history, and when it happens around a small town, that's Irona. I think.
Irona, yeah.
Wouldn't you say that IRON would be Irona?
Yeah.
And that's the
That
train.
general area, yeah.
That's probably the train station, Irona.
Milk station there.
Yeah,
Oh,
Irona Creamery.
There it is, Irona Creamery. There you go.
Dooley had that for years.
One day I still want to do a program on the history of the dairies and creameries in the area, and there are a few of the old timers still alive, but it's just a program that we haven't been able to put together yet, and it's very soon it'll be too late to talk with the people who were the principals, because most of those dairies are gone now.
True.
And what a shame.
There
huh?
was one in Champlain, I believe, a
Oh,
big dairy one time.
Oh, Sunny Hill.
Sunny Hill,
Dairy,
right.
yeah, that's right. Well, there's a little gas station, Abnaki. Oh gosh, isn't that? Look at the tires. Light service station, gasoline and oil. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? When we saw those bottles of oil earlier, it reminded me that we used to be able to get I think they called it reconstituted oil. I couldn't afford to buy quarts of oil for my old car, so we'd buy I don't know what they did, filtered out the iron filings and put it in bottles and sold it again for a nickel a quart.
Strained it.
Whatever it was, that's what they did.
Oh, we're switching to, I don't know how that got in there.
Well, it's a wonderful photograph, and we know what it is. Did you take
Yeah.
a look at it?
Yeah.
The Champlain.
The old Champlain Hotel before the fire, early in the 20th century.
You wonder, in comparison to the roof, the size of the flags, they must have been huge.
Monstrous.
hmm
There was a good breeze that day, too, by the looks of things. Yeah. The general aspect of the roads is the same, but the building certainly is completely different. Oh, my gosh. Look at this.
That's
the
down
same,
there, too,
The same
yeah.
property. Oh, my. Look at these great photographs. Aren't these neat?
Oh, I spend hours sometimes. I have
Oh, just so neat.
two
You can-
boxes that I'm going through now down there.
Can they say if the walls could talk, but can you just imagine conversations and smelling
True.
the grease and oil and hearing the laughter and people heading up for vacation? You see the old telephone and telegraph wires crisscrossing at the entrance there. Beech Nut Food Products. It's an
Salesman's.
old
Vehicle.
Chevrolet, and I'm once again, forgive me for not sharing it immediately. It's a commercial vehicle, and I can't tell if almost looks like 1919, but
I would say it's a Chevrolet.
it's a Chevrolet. I was just looking at the
Oh, yeah.
license
They
number.
probably were guests at the Champlain
At the
Hotel.
Champlain Hotel. And in those days, there was the Plattsburgh Traction Company had trolley cars that went all the way out along Route 9.
Many
out to that
pictures in
area.
that box.
And the girls' camps along where Cliff Haven is located now. Catholic girls' camps. Girls' school, right? Well, that's very interesting.
That's Beech Nut.
Beech Nut, yeah, that's Beech Nut Food Products.
Might be Glenn Latchmore. He started out with Beech Nut.
Did he really? Oh my goodness.
Huh.
Now you're gonna see some classic stuff here. I don't know why that vehicle is parked on the little railroad track inside that building, but this, oh my goodness, look at this. Just beautiful with the crank hanging out of the front. Oh boy. The guys in the Transportation Museum, you better watch out. They're going to glom
Well, I was
onto
going to
the-
say, if they'd like any of those reproduced,
Yeah, I bet you they
we
would.
could reproduce them for a small fee,
Yes.
and they could have them in their museum,
I'm sure they'd love to have all this stuff. Sure. It's beautiful.
especially of the car.
Those are absolutely beautiful, those old vehicles, old trucks and cars. My goodness. Oh, and we have more of the same.
That's a showroom, apparently at Christmas time, I think, if you see the wreath, then maybe.
Yeah, I wonder where. Just great stuff, though, aren't they, huh? A forgotten time and place with the old wooden board floors and just absolutely delightful photographs. I'm sure the imaginations are going rampant now as they're watching this. We have no idea where it should be. You look at the old stamped tin ceiling. Weren't they great? And I remember a lot of places downtown here in downtown Plattsburgh who had those. And of course, many from my childhood. Sometimes the fenders were leather. These were not, but I don't know why there would be ripples that look like ripples in those fenders. Oh boy.
Delivery truck of
Oh
some
boy,
kind.
look at the old Woody. You're talking. Anyway, look at this. Isn't that delightful? And yes, there were car wrecks even at 14 miles an hour. As we could tell by the bottom photograph. Somebody.
Right, I think there's some in there too.
That's Aunt Maud couldn't quite get out of the garage, maybe. Oh, yes. And in those days, you have to remember there were no seat belts. Boy, there's an old Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Our terms are cash. Please don't ask for credit. That's what it says on the sign. Oh, well, we got a few.
Fender benders.
We got, yeah, we had fender benders even back in those days. This is I think that license plate, I think I can read that one. I think it says 1927. I wonder if the word fender bender had been the phrase fender bender had been invented back in those days. But they were fender benders. And roads around the North Country weren't all paved in those days. Even in Franklin County, when I was in Malone in the 50s, most of the roads were dirt roads.
Oh yeah.
And now around Westport, out in the countryside, there's still an awful lot of unpaved roads in the rural counties of
We
New
have
York
some
State.
pieces of wood here that were from a wooden road, a plank road in Chazy. Somebody brought them in. They were doing some paving or whatever, and they noticed they were all lined up. And
That's the way they made them. The military turnpike was a corduroy road or a plank road, where they'd split logs, and the flat side would be up.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing? And that's, of course, where the plank road got its name, right? I think. There's, I guess, nobody my age or older that wouldn't know what the Nash automobile was, right? Matter of fact, in Plattsburgh, we had the Nash bowling alley at one point in time, right? Down on River Street. There's quite the automobiles. These are great. I didn't know you had lots of pictures of cars and stuff.
No, we have pictures
Oh, my goodness. This is all... I try not to salivate on the photographs. The good thing they're wrapped in these containers.
Acid-free, no?
Look at the wheels.
Acid-free. Oh, solid wheels and wooden spoke wheels. That's the bottom one, I think, is a Buick.
Looked like it might have been a bootleg car with the window shattered, shot out.
Oh my
I don't know.
goodness, who knows where that might be? That building almost looks local, but you thought
Looks
a lot
like
of these
air
was
base, doesn't it? Like one half
could
of
be,
one of those
yeah, could
condos.
be. Almost looks like the front of the Vilas home to me.
Could be.
But my, I have a vivid imagination, so it could be anything in the world. But you thought these were in you don't know if these are what era or area that they should be attached to. Great stuff, though. Great vehicles. Yeah, it looked like somebody smashed out the... Oh, boy.
These cars are all brought in by a private collector, but the buildings, of course, were the ones I mentioned before, were from the liquor board.
Kenneth,
I know that
Canada
place.
Lodge. Canada Lodge. I was there right after it got smashed. Oh, my goodness. First of all, look at the talk about wintertime.
Right.
I think that was a mammoth snowstorm or somewhere buried in a snowbank, that vehicle. And I'm sure there were ripples of memory when you talk about Canada Lodge. Yeah, a few lost moments spent at Canada Lodge, which is, of course, no more after our terrible storms of whatever year that was, 96, 97, when we had two mammoth storms and it wiped out everything. The river bank came down on the bank came down on the top of it. But that's what it looked like in its prime.
Where was it?
Canada Lodge at Port Kent.
Kent.
Isn't that great? Yeah, a lot of good Saturday
With some
nights.
yeah.
A lot of good
There's
Saturday
some more
nights.
photos of that, yeah.
Yeah. But it's all got washed away and ruined and destroyed. And boy, that was a mammoth problem because it washed all the railroad tracks out. They had to
Yeah.
reconstruct that entire area. I can't, Calvin, what was the year we had two huge storms, spring and fall? 97, 96, or 97? Anyway, floods. We had some
96, there was flood in the winter, then we had one in the fall.
huge floods. Huge floods.
The interior.
Oh yeah, nice shots. These are good shots. A lot of memory makers for people who spent some time down there. Just on the way down to the ferry dock.
There were orchestras that come.
Oh
played
sure,
there,
bands
and
there
so-
every weekend. There are lots of musicians who are still around, and I would like to spend just a moment. I don't know if he ever played there, but he could have. But my good friend Smokey Rabideau just recently died.
Passed away.
He was such a dear friend, one of the nicest men I ever met, and he had that RSVP kitchen band
Yeah.
for a long, long time and just made so many people happy, always had a smile on his face. And as we're recording this in the first week of January of 2005, we recently saw his death.
This is that house I was speaking about earlier,
With the round windows.
that we have the huge negative. That was the cottage on the grounds
On the grounds where now?
in Port Kent.
In Fort Kent.
That was that Judge Wilson's
Oh,
house.
okay. And there's a building down there in that area that is still known as Loyola Villa. The reason I know about it is because it's reputedly haunted, and I wrote some very good ghost stories based on first-hand accounts that people gave me.
Mm-hmm.
It's now apartments, but that's isn't that a beautiful place?
Mm-hmm.
Stone, all stone blocks, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's the porch.
Oh boy, here we go. People just sitting around, taking life easy, inside
Interior
views,
shots.
outside views. We don't know what it was. Was it a bed and breakfast or a hotel?
No,
or
it was a private residence.
was a
Yeah.
private residence.
Mhm. I think it still is today.
Great historic photographs. I wonder if the people who live there aren't. Look how thick the walls are.
Right. The lady that was here from London remarked about that
The
chandelier.
chandelier.
Hmm.
I bet
She remembered
would.
it as a child.
No kidding. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we could spend a lot of time looking.
Those are some of the buildings. You remarked about Loyola Villa, etc.
Would that be it?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
Loyola?
it doesn't look like that today, but
Oh, I may have to get a copy of that photograph. I may have to. Because there were
priests or brothers were
brothers
training
who were
there.
training there at that time.
And I remember they had 3 boats outside down in the water for their use. I remember one distinctly because a friend of mine is named Ignatius Lacombe.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the big boats that they had was called the Ignatius.
Really?
And that's the one I remember.
Okay, I got to get a copy of that, Kenneth. Don't forget.
That was a beautiful area
Oh.
in its heyday. Yeah.
So that's what it looks like. I've often tried to picture it in my mind after having these people describe
Mhm.
their some very strange experiences.
That would be the
happened.
dining room that they had, the interior.
Really?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Apparently, a lot of social functions were held there at one time when it was like a hotel type.
I guess it's been many things, but now
Yeah.
it's still an apartment house now.
Right.
With several apartments in it. I'm so glad that I got a chance to actually see what it looked like in its heyday. That's wonderful. And if I have these memories, and you have these memories, and Calvin has these memories, you know that folks who are watching this program are commenting They're probably mad because we don't have commercials, because they don't want to miss anything. They don't want to run to the bathroom or run to get a cold drink. Oh my goodness.
That's part of the same celebration, whatever it was.
Yeah, that was
It looked like it might have been a golf. They do have a small golf course down there, but it may have been during that time.
Well, you know, that Port Kent golf course was really quite something in its heyday, and it's one of the very early golf courses in the nation. Now, in the last few years, they've been trying to add some more holes back.
I see a trophy cup there, so you kind of put two and two together.
It could be. Actually, when I first came up here in 1961, I never was a good golfer, but I used to play golf down there quite often. And an interesting anecdote is, I went back like 30-some years later with my brother to play a round of golf. I think it was my brother, and I walked in. And the guy looked at me, "Oh, hi, Gordy, how are you?" Like he had just seen me that afternoon. The same guy behind the desk. "How you been?" And like no time had passed at all.
Right.
He doesn't realize that somewhere in the tops of those pine trees are still some bent golf clubs and things that I.
Yeah, that's another shot of the
other shots, interior and exterior of the
Loyola.
same building. Oh my goodness, yes, I gotta get some copy of these. This is too delicious for me.
And you think it's haunted?
Or
the story is?
I will tell you stories sometime, not on camera right now, to protect the innocent, but when the camera goes off, I'll tell you a couple of stories that will curl your hair. That's what I do, is write ghost stories. It's more the same, more the grounds of that area. Really, really nice stuff. But up until now, I had never gone down to take. A lot of times when I write about places that are haunted, reputedly haunted, I'll go and take a photograph, but I haven't done that with this building. So you saw, a little tennis match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was quite a...
This is not necessarily the attire that you would associate with playing tennis in this day and age.
Quite a resort it was.
My mother was an excellent tennis player, and I can remember as a very tiny kid picking up her tennis racket. They were made of wood and catgut or whatever they used, and it seemed like it weighed about 5 pounds. Nowadays, when they use those titanium alloys and whatever they use to make them out of, they're so light. In those days, it was very, very heavy. And that's right on the lake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see it in the background.
Well, 2 down, only 23 books to go. That's great. Let's pause for a minute and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, we have time to look quickly through another book, and then we're going to wrap up this session and come back again, Ken, because it's been so exciting and wonderful. This one said Coopersville, Rouse's Point, Port Kent, Cliff Haven. That covers a little bit of ground, doesn't it, huh?
If that one isn't mixed up, too.
But some of the pictures have been mixed up because people have looked through them.
Oh, that's the famous church in Coopersville.
That's St. Joseph's Church.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only St. Joseph's Church in the North Country or on the face of the earth, and a lot of churches, of course, have the same name.
Pictures of that, too, when we did a display, or we kind of recreated the little village of Coopersville in one of our galleries. The steeple on that church blew off and fell through the roof. The point of it did, and went right down near the altar and never hurt a soul. And according to the history that I looked up, there were people in the church.
No kidding.
It was like a mini tornado that came through. We have pictures of the steeple being through the roof. Right, pointed right down.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, actually, the altar's at the other end, but I've seen that picture.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? Interesting. These are more shots inside the church, right? Does the building exist anymore?
Yes, it does.
It's still there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Got a new steeple on it or not?
I'm not sure if there's a steeple on the church or not. No. I don't think there is now.
No.
Where do I go? Somewhere between here and somewhere where I go. There's a church. Maybe it's heading for Mineville on the old road, where there's a modern church, and instead of having a steeple on the church, there's a big steeple in the front yard.
Oh,
Sitting there, it's a real conversation piece when you go by, saying either they didn't have the money to put it on or they just put a steeple up there. Oh, gosh.
Coopersville Church is not necessarily that building, but the Coopersville Parish was the oldest parish in this area of the diocese.
Oh, it was? Oh, that's why it says.
I have no idea what that building is.
That's not customs? I know the other
Might
pictures
well
are
be.
customs.
Some of our books, we've,
Looks like the Hotel Holland in Rouse's Point.
yes, I believe so,
There you go, Calvin.
lent out and
Just gotta
they're,
talk to the natives and they'll tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that mic picked it up, so you want to repeat that Hotel
there's
Holland.
Hotel Holland in Rouse's Point, Calvin said, yeah.
right.
I forget that he doesn't have a lapel mic on him.
Story
Over
that
there.
I remember about that too, about jewels being smuggled, diamonds, and someone flushed them. And one of our local hardware people, or worked for Guy Howard, he, no one could ever find the diamonds. I don't know what happened, but
The bottom one is Customs House.
Really?
Yeah.
The
Rouse's
bottom one is a
Point.
customs house, U.S. Customs House, Rouse's Point. It says F.W. Myers and Company.
mhm.
There you go, became that, yeah, but it says Customs House right up front and Myers Building on the top with great, great pictures. Marnes Dock, Marnes Inn, Rouse's Point. Oh, and we've seen
Fort
pictures of the
Montgomery,
old
yeah.
Fort Montgomery. First of all, these are things that are familiar to Calvin too. Although, is that building still there? That
That-
Marnes Inn?
The Marnes Inn is, yes, it's right next to Sandy's Deli.
Oh, okay.
And Fort Montgomery is
Fort
still
Montgomery.
there.
Yeah, there are parts of it still there. We've done at least one whole program on it and taken pictures of it many
Right,
times.
that has quite a story too.
And these photographs, it seems to me like Jim had all these photographs
Yeah.
when we did our show, because he.
Someone came and had them reproduced at one time.
Roger Harwood
Oh, yes, yes.
and Jim Millard have worked
I-
very hard on that.
Yeah.
Jim Millard and Roger.
Roger,
Yeah.
yeah. Roger is the one that I drew all the pictures for.
And Jim is such a good guy. So we've seen many of these, but we'll flash through them again because it's very interesting. It's a part of the history of that area.
Roger is our board president now, which is,
Congratulations
A good
to Roger
thing.
for that. I'm sure did you say they've already had one meeting or they haven't had one meeting?
I
yet?
think
can't-
the meeting's coming up.
Coming up as we're recording this toward the end of the first week in January in the year 2005. And I won't say that Roger's backing in the position, but I will say that he's going to be good at it because he's so passionate about history.
Okay, and those pictures there are those last two,
Yeah.
destruction of the fort for the building of the bridge.
For the building of the bridge, that's
Andrew
absolutely
Weston
right.
Company.
Yep, for the old steam cranes and things, wonderful. This is Cabin City. That's an interesting photograph. And that's an interesting name, Cabin City, isn't it,
Yeah.
huh? Is that familiar to you, Calvin? Have you ever heard of Cabin City?
No, I'm just, it says a mile, 1 mile house,
Yeah.
south of Rouse Point. That
Yeah,
part
south of
around
Rouse's Point.
Around Point of Fair area.
Yep.
There were a bunch of cabins there right next to where the Lakeview Pavilion is.
Oh,
now.
Lakeview. Yeah, that's right,
Right.
too. That's right. I remember that. Absolutely. And what is this bottom picture? Does that ring a bell for you, Kenneth?
Can't quite see it. I have no
A
idea.
shrine of some
It
kind?
must be something up that way, yeah.
Looks like it was pretty sizable, whatever it was. Oh, now
Oh,
now
that Tremblay Hall in Rouse's Point.
now we're back to, this is
Is it?
Port Kent.
Oh, Port Kent. That's
It's the
right.
cottages at Port Kent.
Right. How did we get Port Kent in there?
Well,
Yeah, we got a
We
few.
got some Port Kent and some Cliff Haven, and we're
Kind of
running-
a mixture.
It's once again, they're all part of the great North Country history. When you take a photograph, you capture the moment, don't you? And hopefully, that's the Lakeside Inn. Hopefully, these will capture a lot of memories for people. Some very nice silhouettes and pictures of the lakeside and. And at some point in time, it's nice to have them displayed this way, but there might be other ways to display these photographs at some point in time.
We need the space to get them
But
out.
that's right, you need space.
Then we can put them on storyboards.
Yeah, because I'm totally unfamiliar with what areas of the lake this might be. This could be the Port Kent area somewhere. And some people will recognize the little roadways leading up to the
Right.
lakeside and the old boats. And, hey, that was my Uncle Charlie's boat. They had some pretty good speedboats back in those days. Oh, my.
Yeah, I think
God.
that's north, building up towards Rouse's Point. Probably Calvin would recognize it.
Well, there's some great old stone homes up there
Up that way.
on the Lake Shore Road, so I don't know if that would be something like that, but that's kind of neat.
It's like a whole family.
Ma
in
and Pa
the
Kettle go to town.
car. Right.
That's a great old car, isn't it? Just wonderful as you look around and look at the faces and know that they were living, breathing human beings a long, long time ago. I have no idea what that
I
rock
don't
might
either
be.
what that piece of rock is.
Somebody thought to take a picture of it because they built
Maybe
something around
next
there.
page will tell you.
You really think so?
Oh my, that's even larger, whatever it was.
I have no idea. It's a huge slab of rock.
I don't know. Maybe somebody out there would recognize it.
That's kind of an odd mystery and why somebody would take a picture of it in the first place. Obviously something was being built and there's a walkway down to it. And maybe there's somebody carved a date in it. 1609 or something, huh? Who knows? And the snowstorms.
It's a road going into town.
Yep. Oh yeah, these are good. Just reading some of the things that are written on these people's clothing. This is a mill somewhere of some kind.
I'm not sure.
We apologize that all of these pictures aren't.
I gotta go get some more.
Yeah. Aren't mentioned that it is we don't have a title for every one of these pictures, but we hope by virtue of this program to actually be able to tell folks someday what every one of these pictures would be. And this is another good place to point out the necessity for people who have information to supply it, people who have checks to send it, people who have a little spare time to volunteer, that they should volunteer information and time and money to help this museum survive, because the resources, that is the historical resources here, are absolutely phenomenal. Oh boy. Here's some talk about your tree-lined streets. Look at this. Where they are, I don't have the faintest idea, but it says on the outside, Coopersville, Rouse's Point, Port Kent, and Cliff Haven. So take your pick. Does any of that look vaguely familiar to you, Calvin? It's pretty hard as times change and new buildings go up and old buildings go down to picture where it is, but somebody will tell us. Maybe we'll have subtitles the next time we do a similar show. I love the pictures in any case. Oh, look at this. This is more likely the Cliff Haven
Could be
girls'
summer
school, the
school.
summer school at Cliff Haven. That looks like a gym and a group of the girls outside. It was quite a complex down there. If you've seen all
Yeah.
the photographs of
It's
all
almost
the
like
buildings
a-
they had.
Almost like a city within a city.
It was a
at one
city
time.
within a city, yep. It was a Catholic
Mhm.
Catholic girls' school,
Massive
summer
too.
school.
Buildings were massive.
And that's where Cliff Haven grew up,
Mhm.
right in that same general area.
Looks very similar to the Air Base Gymnasium.
It does.
It does, with a walkway around it.
And it's hard to tell. Here's some more photographs of
Yeah,
people
I
taken
think
at
so.
that time period, and I'm sure this must be the Cliff Haven group. Of course, Route 9 was the main thoroughfare north and south
Yeah.
back in those days.
Mhm.
And with the completion of the Adirondack Northway, it kind of played second fiddle, but as it is now, a lot of times when I go south and I'm not in a hurry, I like to drive
On 9.
on Route 9 all the way down. And not too many of us take leisurely rides. Remember every Sunday afternoon we used to get in the car and go for a ride with the family? I guess not too many people do that
It's all
anymore.
Cliff Haven. When you think of the size of the buildings, and they're gone.
Yeah, all
Demolished,
these buildings
yeah.
are absolutely demolished, and they were, I'm sure if they hadn't taken down the whole place, that some of those buildings would still be standing, just like some of the outbuildings at Clinton Community College are still standing after all these years.
Right.
That's still
Matter of fact, we're using one for storage.
I
'cause
know,
We have
we
no place.
talked about it before, and that's very magnanimous of them to allow Clinton County Historical Museum to use it. I love these little Lord Fauntleroy outfits that the kids have on. You know, what kid would allow you to dress him up like that in this day and age?
So,
You know, it brings instant memories of the knickers my mother used to make me wear to school. And can you imagine wearing knickers and high tops? Remember high tops?
hmm
And the thing that she had failed to remember was there was a little pocket in my high tops
For a knife?
that held a knife.
Yes.
And I got 20 feet away from my house and used the knife to cut the rubber bands around the bottom of the knickers so that they wouldn't cut the blood supply off of my legs. I hated it. And my mother's going to come back and get me for doing that. Okay, there's the Hotel Montgomery and a whole group of people and two separate places that we're dealing with there, but these are somebody's relatives. Every one of these pictures are somebody's relatives. There were a lot of great hotels, and where somebody the other night was saying, were there a lot of bar rooms here in the 50s and 60s? Yes, were there a lot. Every now and again, when my wife and I have nothing to do, we'll try to remember all the bars that were, you know.
Right.
And in the 1960s, when they built the missile sites and brought all those people in from General Dynamics, there were bars on every street corner. There's a.
We haven't talked on camera about the Hotel Montgomery, but it was on the corner of Pratt Street. There was a railroad. It was a railroad hotel.
Was it Railroad Hotel?
Mhm.
Yeah, I hope people can hear Calvin, even though the microphone's quite a distance away. And more pictures.
Saxony.
Yep, that's similar to the photograph that we had from before, right?
No, we haven't seen that one.
Oh, we
saw
haven't?
that one yet on camera. No, we looked at it off camera. I don't think we saw it
Oh,
on camera.
okay.
And do we know where this high school class is? Or?
I don't know that.
Mm-mm.
No. Sorry about that,
Might
folks.
be from Rouse's Point. Some of them are ID'd on the back and some are not.
Yeah, that's a little bit newer than some of the other photographs that we've had. Oh, 1.5 miles to the border. Fill here before entering
Well-
Canada.
Right, that's across from the Saxony, I believe, that little filling station, and then I believe there's a motel now, which wasn't at that time.
Huh.
I believe there's a lot of boats tie up to the right of that building in the summer, like a marina now.
It's a great photograph, though, isn't it? Just really a neat a neat picture.
Trying to figure where that is, and
You can't,
no, I don't know if that's where Gainesville ended up being. I don't know.
I think there's been a lot of changes in that building. It's, the facade is gone from the front.
and what is it called? Aubrey's.
Mhm.
I think it's called Aubrey's Filling Station on
That's
the
an,
top there.
yeah, that's a Rouse's Point name.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if that would ended up being Alex Laundry's. I didn't look at the bottom picture.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, that's a,
That might be where Alex Laundry's ended up.
like a rail yard there. Well, I would say in Rouse's Point. This is, people are shooting skeet here, I believe, by the looks of this. See a few shotguns and some tents in the background and cars. Both pictures probably related to the same event. I imagine they're out on a little outing shooting skeet. I would guess. Very good. And that's probably up in that area. It looks like it might be very close to the lake.
Hmm. Those are events that were
Oh,
taking
my
place there.
Goodness. I was looking at that sign that said A. Sabrin and Company Furniture Store. Parades, I don't know if these would have been 4th of July parade.
Might well
or
be,
They could have been there. Certainly have had a lot of them, and I've attended a lot of them in Rouse's Point on the 4th of July. When I first came up here, that's the place you had to be, boy, for a parade in Rouse's Point.
Right. Well, even today they
And
put on
even
a
today,
good
they put on great shows up there. In the village. Does that all look familiar, Calvin?
Yeah, I'd say. Looks like downtown Rouse's Point.
Yeah. Boy, talk about busy pictures. There's a busy picture with all the people and everybody having a good time, and the old motorcycles and horses. You don't see horses in parades very often anymore, so I don't know when that would be, but I would guess it looks like it's late 30s or early 40s. Oh my goodness. Are you about to see what the old WMFF microphone looked like? Take a look at this. As you may not know, WEAV was originally WMFF. And when WIRY went on the air in 1950, they exchanged frequencies, and Wiry got the old 1340 designation on the dial, and Weave got the 960, and it was a very interesting turn of events. But WMFF was the first radio station in this area. I believe I don't want to misquote history, but I think they had a transmitter over on what would now be Boynton Avenue back in those early days, because they went on the air. George Bissell went on the air with that radio station long before Wiry went on, and his first station, I believe, was in Gloversville. I have no idea what that function was in the bottom picture, but probably all attached to some celebration that they had.
This was the building of that bridge, or is it the railroad bridge?
Can't tell.
I don't know.
Maybe Calvin will have a
It's an odd picture.
speculation.
Two
very-
bridges. I think it's Rouse's Point. But
Could be, huh? Don't know if that would be one bridge or the other, or the railroad bridge, but the street scene is
what's on
Main
this?
Street looking north, Rouse's Point. There's the Custom House. At least that tells us what the picture is, so we can get oriented. Still a pretty wide street even back in those days, wasn't it, huh? With diagonal parking places. Repairing store. Such interesting names of businesses back in those days.
I don't know how this one got in there.
We got a church picture, and then we got a inside of a bar or restaurant. So we'll.
I don't know.
It's really quite beautiful, isn't it, with that mural?
Could be St. Patrick's.
It could be the ceiling. Looks like it.
Yeah, looks like St. Patrick's.
Okay.
And the bottom.
From the sublime to the ridiculous, is that what we're doing here? And the bottom picture is the inside of one of the buildings, a bar or the Legion or whatever it might be. It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. I love to look at the signs and Horton Old Stock Ale and cheese and crackers. There's a sign that says cheese and crackers.
Mm.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my, here's one. Locks. Locks Grocery and Hardware Store.
The car.
Take a look at that old picture and the old car.
Okay, turn
This way? That do it? I don't know about locks. I don't know if Calvin does.
Somebody watching will know.
Somebody watching will know. That's the beauty of it. You can just, I wish
This
I
is
could
like-
record all those conversations.
Turn the bottom.
This way?
Like a musical show. Name that tune. This is name that photograph.
Name that picture, huh? No, not familiar. That's somebody's drugstore, barber shop.
Isn't that still a drugstore on the corner across from the Holland Hotel, Harrison, with the changes that were made? I think this is what told me it was that.
Elvidge's Pharmacy? No, it's.
This is
they're long
Devon.
gone from there. It's
This is Devon. There's a sign in the window. I'm not sure if it's a reflection from another building, and I see many of those, but it says Devonburg's Pharmacy. Devenburgh. Devonburg's Pharmacy. So, I can't tell. Well, here's the Bridge Cafe. In this picture. I don't know if I got a good angle for you there, Calvin, but just classic memories for other people. And mostly new things for me, because I'm unfamiliar with this end of the world, for the most part.
Yeah, it's a click of town with a river in it. I don't know.
Gee, we don't have any of those in the North Country, do we?
And some falls there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where that really is. It's very interesting. Well, here's Trombley store.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out where that would be. None of these.
Trombley is a Rouse's Point, Champlain name.
Could be.
That's Trombley.
Yeah, very nice old building
Maybe
made out of cobblestones.
Somebody by the name of Trombley will remember that, or some member of the family.
Yeah, maybe Charlie will call us up and say,
Charlie.
hey, that's my grandfather.
A lot of Trombleys and Moores, and a lot of Trombleys and Shazy.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and also on Rouse's Point, but I don't know.
Yep,
It's like
just great pictures.
a fire on the
It
bottom.
looks like it might have been a fire somewhere, yeah, burned off the whole side of the building.
Rail yard.
And it's
The rail car
across from
inside.
Romeo's Restaurant, if that rings a bell. All of a sudden, my eyes are getting better here. There's a Romeo's Restaurant across the road.
Is that a rail car on the side though? It's on the left.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be an old train station or something that burned. Could very well be. And finally, we go to church. What church is it? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Doesn't look familiar, Cal?
Well, The shape of it looks like Cooperville, but that welcome sign doesn't.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe it was for some special
See
occasion.
the year.
Yeah. Not a
Unless
clue.
that was the old St. Patrick's Church, I don't know.
It might well be.
Oh, hard to tell. But guess what?
There's a phone number here and they can call Ken.
Yeah, what is the
Yeah.
phone number again? Let's do that.
561-0340.
10340 for anybody with information about these photographs, anybody who wants to comment. Again, before we leave, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, Clinton County Historical Museum, the association needs a lot of help and support. It's not enough for you to sit back and enjoy watching this show and not making some kind of contribution, even an emotional contribution saying, oh, I hope they do well. But preferably, if you want to support it in a tangible way, write a check. If you have any idea how reorganization will help, please get involved, volunteer, join the group, come down here, take a look through the museum, talk to John and Ken and the other folks who stay here and offer your volunteer time. Information about these pictures would be nice.
I need help to identify them.
I think you've done a masterful job in lining
I-
them up.
I have to show you a book. This is just part of what we do here.
Yeah. So many things. We've only gone through 3 of these collections today, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5, 6 more that I can see on the table.
This is just one family.
Genealogy of the Moores, McCullums, and look at this. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
This isn't the book we did a show on, is it, Calvin? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, but can you imagine? That's one family.
Moore, Nye, McClellan, Champlain, New York, plenty more papers in the history of...
Champlain.
It is David Patrick, 4th edition.
Yeah.
We did do the show on this book, right?
He's
Yeah.
been working here quite a bit, doing more.
He has doing more?
Mhm.
I mean, that's something like that. Talk about people who are dedicated to
Let
history.
me go and get a box. I want to show you just what we have that we don't have here.
All right, let's pause a minute. Again, we were just, Ken went to get this box to give us a sample of some of the things that they have here. There are a number of family photographs, very old, the oval family photographs. Then in here we have the Board of Supervisors from 105 years ago, in 1900. And at least some of these people will be familiar as relatives to folks who are alive today. All pieces of history here in the North Country. It's come time for us to wrap up this portion of the program. But once again, I want to invite people into the museum. Come look around, bring your kids here, spread the word, buy some books. There are some wonderful books available in the little bookstore that they have here. Preach the gospel, as it were, about the Clinton County Historical Museum and about ways to preserve history in the North Country. If you're an educator, you can promote what Ken was talking about before. My congratulations to all the schools that do teach local history nowadays, or at least a portion of it as part of their curriculum. It's very important that they do so. Kenneth, here's a guy that was going to be a man of a few words, and we turned that into a few million words today, and that's only one of how many ever program it's going to take to cover Shazy and Points North, Plattsburgh, and the military Denimore, Acadieville, Saranac, Scioto to West Shazy, Champlain, Peru, Skyler Falls, and who knows what all.
For the next time.
We'll be back and do what will be, this was chapter 3, right? So it'll be chapter 4 the next time, and we can't wait, my friend. Thank you so much. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.